everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today we are discussing interracial dating. Okay, so interracial dating is a topic that I feel like I've always wanted to talk about.
It's weird with interracial dating.
It's
because
very popular.
It's popular, but I don't do it. You know, that's the weird thing. It's
Right.
like I don't date outside my race.
Right.
It's odd. But
Yeah.
I guess it's odd these days, right?
It is.
I think I've only dated one white man.
I haven't even. I talked to one white man. I've never really been in a relationship. I haven't really even been on a date with a white man. I don't think I have. No, I haven't.
I have
before. How do I feel about interracial dating? My grandmother was white, rest in peace. Grandfather, black, rest in peace. Okay, so they obviously we're somewhat of a product in a way, skipping some things, but of an interracial relationship, right? And our grandparents got married and were together at a time in the 50s where it wasn't popular to be interracial. Now it's popular. Everybody wants to be interracial now, but back then it wasn't popular. And she went on to have 6 mixed children. So it was at a time that wasn't popular. So I have no problem with, in general, as with interracial dating. Are we talking more about just black and white right now or just anything? Mostly black and white, right?
Yeah.
Or it can be anything,
I guess
though.
It can be anything. Interracial.
It can be anything. But I don't really have a problem with it. But since our grandparents were that black and white, I guess I'll keep it there for a minute. I know several of my friends that only date white men. And black women that only date white men. And do you think it's something weird with that? Like, the white man that I was talking to was a long, long time ago. We never really went out, but I was talking to, and he only dated black women, and he said he doesn't like dating white women. And so I questioned that. I said, well, but you're white. Why would you not be proud of your own people? Like, shouldn't you want to be with your own people?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or at least, not have a distaste for them. Like, why is that a problem? See, and I told him, I said, see, that concerns me. He said, I'm telling you that I like black women. You should be happy about that. I said, no, I thank you for liking black women. And I was like, but you said you don't like white women. That's you. That means you don't like yourself in some way.
Right.
If you don't like to look at a white woman, if it bothers you. And I feel the same way when I hear black women say that they only date white men. You know, and I'm like, well, okay, there's no problem with that. But only is where that's where you get me all mixed up. Is the only
I think that people who do that though never have good relationships.
Ever.
Because it's conditional, basically, because you're only dating them because they are that color. Yeah. So if you're not dating someone for themselves and you're dating for someone for their skin color, it was just no different than when I told you with that dark skin guy that I dated. And I only dated because I was light skinned. So it would never work because you only like me for my skin tone. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who I am. That's just what my skin is. Right. So when people date people simply because they are of a certain race, those relationships never work out because people are much more than their skin. Right. So if you're a black person and you happen to marry a white person, that's one thing. If you're a white person and you marry an Asian person, that's different. You know what I mean? But if you're someone who only dates a certain race because you think they're pretty, or you think they're better, or they think you think
the status is different,
then that's not real love. That's a dysfunctional way of thinking about love. Yeah.
It would make more sense to me if you say this particular man was really nice to me. And I find him attractive or whatever, but he's really nice to me, and we went out and it worked out really well. Our dates worked out, and I really want to date him because of that reason and all his characteristics and the things that he does. But when you start off telling me he's white, okay, so,
or just if you say I date white boys,
you're like, why? Why are you saying you own? I don't get that.
You know what I mean? There's certain things I understand, like people who only date, like, for instance, I think we all have something we find attractive that may not be who we're up with, but there are some, like, I like tall men. I like tall men that are over 6 feet. Yes. Maybe it's because I'm short. I'm only 5'3".
Right.
You know what I mean? I like dark men, very dark men. I don't even like, I mean, I'm not even attracted to really light-skinned men.
Yeah.
And I'm light-skinned.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like dark men, like chocolate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that there are a lot of men who like girls with nice bodies. Like some men that like light-skinned girls, or some light-skinned men that only date dark-skinned girls. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is something people never really talk about. Most white men only date dark-skinned women.
Yeah, that's true.
Most white men do not date light-skinned women. I
find that when white men, though, want to date black women, they do want a ethnic-looking black woman.
With natural hair, when
a black woman dates a white man, and remember that YouTuber? I'm not gonna say her name, but the YouTuber that we watch, she only wears her hair like she was wearing like the wigs all the time, like really wigs and weaves all the time, and it's like the straight ones and stuff. And he just really, it's her husband, and he really just wanted to see her wear her hair natural. Then one day she wore her hair like in its natural state, the big afro, and he was just like so happy, like so excited about that. And I always find that whenever, and this is not all, so whenever we're talking about this, I would say this, I'm not talking about all, every circumstance is different, but I do notice a large majority of people who date an opposite race of theirs, they try in some way to emulate that race.
Right.
Okay, so like for instance, the guy that wanted to date me that was white, okay, he did have a little bit of a black influence that way. I hate to say acting black, but you could tell that he's been around the community. Okay, and so I did ask him. I was like, we had a good discussion about this, me and him. I was like, well, okay, so I'm gonna ask you questions because you do have a little bit, I guess, of swag, what you would call it, to you, a little bit John B. type feel to you. I was like, so. What is that? Like, what is that? Are you, and then he told me that he was raised in an entirely black, like his whole world, his school, his neighborhood, born and raised in a black area. It's just where his parents were able to be, where they were at. And so he only was around black people, only saw black women. And that was just it. And so is there an exception there when someone is raised just around only the community they're raised around are only the opposite race?
No, because
I still think you should love yourself.
I know lots of black girls that were raised around white neighborhoods, and they've lost themselves. Yeah, they don't completely. They've immersed themselves in European ways, and they don't know how to be around black people. Yeah, when they're black. More than anything, a lot of them feel embarrassed when they're around white people.
Oh, because
they think black people are considered ghetto. So they don't want to come off ghetto in front of their white.
So they act
white
extra
crowd,
preppy.
Right? So they try to act preppy or try to act something, that bougie they're not. Right. And it's interesting because then white people try to act like rappers. Yeah. All day. So it's really crazy. It's like Tom Hanks' son.
Right.
He's Craig Connor. He's like a total rich white kid.
Oh no, that's not that Connor. But I know you're talking about Tom.
Total rich white kid. He walks around trying to act like he's
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, so I mean, but that's just the times we're into now, because it used to be, rap was mostly for, the black community. Now it's called hip hop, and, it's hip hop, and so it's for everyone. Yeah. And so, now all people walk around, even white women now have big booties. They're all getting butt injections, and they're all trying to tan their skin and fill in their lips. Right. And everything we were told wasn't pretty. Yeah. Now is suddenly beautiful for people who aren't black. Right. You know what I mean?
It's amazing.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think that you need to, I'm someone who was raised around a biracial family. So my grandmother lived in a black neighborhood. My grandfather lived in a white neighborhood.
Isn't that funny?
It's really crazy, but it's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even when my grandfather got remarried, he got remarried to a black woman. Yeah. For the rest of his life. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that he loved her more or less, but I'm just saying. But that's interesting. It is interesting. You know what I mean? That he did love her. You know what I mean? He ended up, being married to her for the rest of his life. I think that there is a comfort with your own race.
I will say that.
And I won't deny that. Lena Horne was married to a white man. Yeah. In the 60s. Right. And when she was overseas, she was living in Europe because she got blacklisted. Right. In America. And when she came back, she got in contact with Medgar Evers, and she was well into the civil rights thing, the civil rights, and so her husband came with her white husband, but she couldn't be with him anymore. And she said that I felt like we moved apart from each other because she was dealing with white America.
Well, especially in that time, though, she really couldn't.
Right.
The civil rights
movement. Said she felt not close to her roots with him suddenly. Right. Much as she loved him, she said, I felt like he couldn't understand me.
Have you ever been? So, you know what? I can understand this, though. Lena, I can understand Lena on this one because even when I'm... Okay, so when I get hit on by... I get hit on by a lot of white men. I do, like by a lot of white men. Like it's really crazy to me. And I'm not... naturally, I'm not... what's the word? Drawn to white men, right? In that way. But they do hit on me an awful lot. It's always... And I'm very awkward with it. Like I feel like it's just the most awkward... The saying hello and all that stuff. I can't bring myself to be... natural,
right,
with white men. So when they're hitting on me, the whole time back in my head, I'm like, God, a white man. The whole time I'm thinking, God, a white man's hitting on me right now. This is so weird. Like,
I've been attracted to, like, there have been some like charismatic white men that have come up to me.
100%.
But
yeah, no,
I can't imagine sleeping with one. See, that's the thing. It's like once I start talking about, I know that sounds like crazy.
No, I know what you mean.
In a way,
no, you have to take that into account. But you have to take
consideration. It's I see white men as attractive. I see them kind of sexy too sometimes.
Right, sometimes.
But when I think about myself jumping in bed with one, then it just kind of doesn't feel, because I've never had sex with a white man. Right. I've only been with black men. Right. So I know black men.
Yeah.
I know how they feel. I know how they look. I know how I feel with them. And so... Even like, I'm not even talking about even the sexual part, just the holding. The spooning.
That's what I'm talking about.
Spooning with a white man. It would be very weird. Not that I have anything against white men. I mean, I get that. My great grandfather would be white.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't have that problem. It's just this comfortableness, I think, that you have with your own race. That I think that it's hard for me. That's why I've said this before in videos. I think I would be shocked if I fell in love with a white man.
Shocked.
Not that there's anything wrong with white men. I would be shocked if some white man actually drew me to marriage.
I would be more shocked if you ended up with white men than if I did.
Right.
Or a person of a different race. I'm just using white because it's the exact opposite. And that seems to be something that always comes up. But even if it's like Hispanic, but even if I were to date like a Hispanic man, that would be a little bit easier. I'll be able to take that a little bit differently. But if it's I feel like it's the white thing.
Or no. Asian. I mean, like Asian, I dated recently. I dated even when I date lighter skinned black men.
Even then, it gets weird.
Because I'm so used to darker skinned men and how I feel with them. Right. So it's like I understand when people have attractions.
Yeah, no,
because I have an attraction. I have an attraction to dark-skinned men that are, that look a certain way. Right. You know what I mean? And that's just true for everybody. Everyone has, feelings about certain preferences on looks.
Right.
But even with light skin, I found The Rock. I talk about him all the time. Yeah. Good-looking, light-skinned man. But I don't even think The Rock is black. I think he's like Samoan. Yeah. I think he's Samoan. You know what I mean? But even in the last 10 years, I've dated a couple of light-skinned men. And they're cute. Yeah. But I just don't have the same attraction as I do with dark skin. So it would be really hard for me to date a white man. Yeah. It's so weird how you think that, because we just had a show about light skin, dark skin.
Yeah, we did.
And how darker skinned men. Yeah. But I think that is sometimes, I think there is an also attraction of what you aren't. So if you're light, sometimes you gravitate to dark. If you're, white, you might gravitate to black. If you're short, you might like tall. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're someone who, doesn't want to be a leader, you're gonna date someone who's a leader. White men, when it's like new territory sometimes. Yeah. They find out things about you that's not the same as white women. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I just, when people only date a certain race, I just... the irony in all this is that my very first date was with a white man.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this.
I was 16. I went out. It was actually a date with my my uncle's friend, and he was in the military. Yeah, and my uncle came back. I think he came back. And they were all military guys. Right. And this white kid liked me. Yeah. And we went on a date with my uncle and his girlfriend. Right. And it was fun. You know what I mean? It was like my very first date. You know what I mean? I think we went to Applebee's or something like that, somewhere else. But
still, even then, you were like, even at that age,
it's like, I think, no. I had you got nothing from me at that date. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's not. It was just simply because I don't know. I just wasn't into
well, there's not going to be, I think when people are meant to be together, see, here's the part of it that's more cosmic, I get you say. It's like when people are meant to be together, y'all, so it just is what it is, okay? So you really don't know. You don't know who you're going to fall in love with, right? You can obviously control who you date, you know what I mean? But you really don't know who's going to walk into your life and you just fall in love with them. So honestly, when it comes to like, just in general, do I care about interracial dating? Do I have a problem with it? Absolutely not. I can't have a problem with it. My grandmother was white. My grandfather was black. But there is a certain, I don't know. I think there's not, we've had such a hard time as black people, as couples, where the split up of the black family has gone awry. Like it's gotten even worse, right? I mean, 50s it was great, 60s okay. You know what I mean? It started gradually going away, 70s and 80s, and forget the 90s. That's just it. You know, and it's just been broke up. So I like the idea of seeing black families. Right. I think that's why people were so enamored with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and then the little kids, because this is literally like a black family. Like this is, you know what I mean? And seeing that. So I think that just the idea of us getting back together as black people and marrying each other, I just think that's the one thing that I would love to see more of. I love to see more of. But in saying that, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying that you should only be with your own kind. Right. But I do think there was something nice about.
I think there's a comfortableness, you know.
I feel comfortable with black men. Like I just really comfortable with them. But you know, I had a black friend of mine. That dates white people, white men all the time, and she said, "Oh, girl, you know, you should date white men. They treat their women so well. They treat black women so well." What? You know, I'm like, okay, well, black men. There's some black men out here that treat black women well too, but this particular person wasn't getting treated well. You know, and I'm like, but you dated white men and they've all treated you bad. All right. So your argument's clear. So you're not really making it very alluring for me to go and be with white men.
I think that when you're dating someone that's not your race, I think there is a need to tread lightly. When you're as far as attitude is concerned. Oh, you mean towards because you know, I know that there are white women who are tough on white men but aren't tough on black men. Yeah. True. You know what I mean? There was an episode of Sex and the City. There was an episode of Sex and the City where Samantha dated a black man. And if you've ever seen that show, Samantha's a really ballsy white lady who's very independent, and she treats men like she goes through men like men go through like players. And she doesn't apologize for it. She doesn't care about it. Right. But then when
kicks them out after she's done and she's good.
That's it. But this episode that she dated this black man, then all of a sudden she was very soft with him and very nice to him. And I've noticed that with a lot of white women that date black men is they suddenly become soft and submissive, and they are very a lot kinder to them than they are with their own men. Yeah, they kind of And white men, when they date black women, they also become more. They put them on a pedestal. Yeah. Because I think there's a thing about being different. Yeah. That you don't know each other. See, because, you know, a black man and a black woman, they ain't nothing new about that. We know each other. We know each other's struggles. We know what we've been through. So we don't feel the need to tread lightly. Right. You know what I mean? So the same thing with white people. They don't feel the need to tread lightly with each other because there's nothing new there. Their parents were white. Yeah. So they've been immersed in their own race. Yeah. But now because there's this new energy, and all of a sudden some white women all of a sudden start trying to act like, I hate to say it, but black. Yeah. They bring on, it's because, but the reason why a lot of them bring on that edge like that and do this, again, we hate saying it this way, but the best way to just get the point across is just act black. I guess you can say have more slang, you know, and I don't even do slang, so I don't even know, but whatever. I think it's because the white woman may know that in some way her black man, not all black men, but her black man is kind of needing something that he's not getting. And so they kind of edge it up a little bit to make him feel more comfortable. Right. And I think the same way, even when a black woman will date like a white man, like sometimes, not all the times, of course, there's a lot of black women who, to make her white man feel a little bit more comfortable, she'll be a little bit more
white.
Their hair gets their hair gets shorter and it gets a little stiffer. You know what I mean? But I think that
white men too, though. White men will bring on a little. They know that the black woman may be missing a little bit of edge, a little bit of black men are a unique. They're unique. Black men are very, very. Black people are unique. So I feel like white men sometimes will know that their black woman is like wanting a little bit of something. She's missing a little bit of edge. You know what I mean? And so he'll become kind of like a little bit of that.
Yeah. Even on Sex and the City, when as soon as Samantha saw this black guy, she said she started talking in slang.
Yeah.
And then her white friend that was sitting across said, "Don't do that." Yeah. She was like, you're acting different because he's black. She would never talk like that because she she'd been attracted to this black man. Yeah. And so I think that there's this thing that to make the other person feel comfortable, you feel like you kind of have to be. I was in a group, over 40 group and on Facebook once, and this subject came up, and I think that one of the people, it was like 120,000 people in this group. Yeah. So this girl or guy, someone posted a post about why do white women date black men? Okay. And so there was like black women for a minute, and then all of a sudden the white lady started to emerge. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. And then most of them were saying that it was because of sex. Okay. They heard that black men had bigger penises. Well, then the black men came in and started calling them liars and all of this. But then the black women came in and were like, you don't want to hear the truth. They're telling you this is why. You don't want to hear the truth. Right. You don't want to hear that they might feel a little sorry for you, or that they might just want you for sex. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so the same thing happens when black women who only date white men. Yeah. Maybe they just want an adventure. Yeah, could be. Because, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's always like that, but I am saying that sometimes... You can be a novelty for somebody. You can be a novelty for somebody. I do feel like that sometimes where there's some white men out here that... especially the ones that have never dated a black woman, and then all of a sudden they date a black woman. And it's like, I'm like, you got to be careful that you're not just being an experiment. Yeah. Because some people just have kind of a fetish. It can go into that, just like a fetish. Not necessarily. I was watching that. Is it Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill? Yeah. Okay. So I was watching that documentary, and I found it very interesting that he was married to a white woman. Yeah. But he was hitting on the black. He was treating. He was what do you call it? Sexually harassing only black women. Only black women. And I thought to myself, that's very interesting because with the Cosby thing, he was married to a black woman, and he was only all of those women, about 98% of those women were all white women. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it's really interesting. Yeah. Like I thought to myself, really, that's his wife? Because I never knew Clarence Thomas' wife was white. Right. You know what I mean? But she was in the court. Yeah. And so watching her in the court, I thought, oh, his wife is white. That's really interesting. And so then other women who had said that they had been sexually harassed by him were all black women. And I thought to myself, well, that's funny. Yeah. Because even when I was talking about the Lena Horne thing, it's like as much as she said she loved that white man, the instant she started talking about civil rights, she couldn't even really be with him anymore. Yeah, they divorced. I think they divorced after that. Well, that's it's a natural connection, though. You're naturally connected to whoever you are. Yeah. You can fall in love with whoever you want to fall in love with. I could end up with somebody. I'm a totally different race. And I'm open to. By the way, I'm not saying that I'm not open to that. It's just my preference would be, to unify the black unit. Can you be part of like the movement, right, of empowering black people when you're with a white person? Because a lot of people feel like you don't, which probably Lena Horne was feeling, like I'm not going to be able to really do this civil rights thing if I'm sitting with a white man. I feel like I'm looking at the oppressor every day. And so that's how she was probably thinking at that time. So like, do you think that you can still be a part of, I don't know. All these black movements and empowering black people, but then your husband or wife is of the opposite race, is white. I don't get asked out a lot by white men, but I have been asked out by a few white men that end up, because we're Facebook friends, they're Republicans. And they talk a lot about, Trump, and they kind of like Trump's rhetoric. And I think it's so interesting that they would want to date me. Yeah. And there is a guy that actually... he got married to a white lady. Yeah. And he's a staunch Republican. Yeah. He's, he's just what you think a Republican is. And I thought, you asked me out. It's so interesting. I never knew this about you. Right. But, I find it very interesting that I always think to myself, had that it worked out, what if I had dated him? And he would have had his issues. could we still be in love or not? You know what I mean?
He's not. I don't know how to, because people.
I wouldn't call him racist.
Yeah,
that's
my
I wouldn't call him
question.
racist, but I would say that the things that that hurt Black people in this country, he's for.
Okay. Well,
so he doesn't see himself. He's not Black, so he doesn't see that police brutality. He doesn't think it's a thing,
right?
Because it doesn't.
Right.
Because it doesn't happen to him. So I always think that when things are happening to you, most people don't give a damn about it. But a lot of things like stop and frisk and stuff, and he didn't really have a problem with that. And I thought to myself, had we had worked out and gotten married,
how are you gonna explain that?
That would hurt me. Yeah. And it would hurt me if you weren't against that, because
but that sounds like that could be anybody that has that type of mentality, a man like that, and they want to date you, if it's a Black woman. I feel like that's it's a setup.
Could be.
That man saying like that's. I mean, I would be all the way on.
I mean, we're literally still friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he's not racist, I guess that's one thing. But it is very odd though, of someone who's that heavily deep into the Trump rhetoric and all that stuff, and
right. But all of his friends from high school are my Black friends. Like the guys, he hung out, played basketball with them and stuff like that. But it was just shocking to me when I'm not a Trump supporter, and I don't think that everybody who supports Trump is racist. I just don't. You know what I mean? I think that's stupid.
Well, who said that every Trump supporter is not racist, but every racist is a Trump supporter?
True. But my point in saying that was to Lena Horne's point, because I watched her hour-long documentary, and when she got to this point, because she married this white man, she was blacklisted in the United States, so they moved to Europe, and she performed in Europe. She couldn't get work here, so she went to Europe, and so she married this white man because in Europe it's legal. And then when she came back to America, she was right in the middle of the civil rights thing, and her pairing up with Medgar Evers, and then marching and all of that, and getting in with Martin Luther King. She said that it wasn't that her husband did anything wrong. It's just that she didn't feel close to him anymore because of everything she was everything she was involved with the civil rights movement. And so that is a true thing. I can see that, because I think that the one thing a Black woman can understand is what Black men go through. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people who are married to people who are outside their race, they face this. Right. I'm sure my grandparents did. Yeah. Because my grandparents were married during the civil rights movement. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they had biracial kids. Yeah, and
that's kind of frowned upon.
You know what I mean? So I'm sure there were some times my grandfather looked at my grandmother and thought, you can never understand what it's like to not be able to walk through the front door. Yeah. And have to, dealing with Jim Crow. Yeah. And
he's a performer.
Right. My grandfather was a drummer.
He's a drummer. And, he's a performer.
Right.
And
you can never understand what it's like to not being told you can't go to a certain restaurant or something like that. Let me tell you, I got raped by a Black man. Yeah. You know, my father was a Black man that walked out on us before I could walk. You know what I mean? I don't really have a lot of great history with my own race of men. Right. But I love Black men. Yeah. And I still I don't compare them to white men, because they go through something that white men could never understand. Now, we have said this to our show, that Black men have been some of the biggest helps
to our show,
and not in a flirtatious way, but in a very helpful way.
I mean, in an extremely helpful way, and I feel like, I mean, they've been very helpful.
They're very helpful.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't, and that kind of dispels the whole myth that, not the whole myth, but that Black men just don't
want to see you win and don't support Black women.
Don't support Black women, because we can't say that's our experience.
Because let me tell you,
I'm shocked.
Black men have not only shared our show, they have given us topics. They have given us pointers.
Articles.
They have shown us how to do advertising. They have done
for
everything.
Future business things.
Not even asked me out on a date.
Just trying to get us to get,
you know what I mean?
And I feel like,
and believe me, if I ever had a hard time with Black men, this show has really helped me ease any kind of pain I've had for the men I date. You know what I mean? But when I talk about any race of men, they never compare to Black men to me. Because Black men have gone through a struggle that white men, even Hispanic men on some level, could never understand. You know what I mean? And so I believe in, and I hate using taglines, but that's when I start believing in Black love. Yeah. Because I do think there needs, like Danielle said, I think there needs to be more Black love, Black couples, Black families.
It's not bad to want to see, want your family to look like you. Like, will you only date Black men?
No, I would date
any man treats you nice, right? Any man treats you nice.
I've only dated black men.
Yeah,
but you never know what. You never know who might come into your life. You know what I mean? Like, just like I like tall men, but if a short man comes in my life,
it is what it is.
You know what I mean? If a light skinned guy likes me and I like him, then that's who God wanted me to be with. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. Or how would Black America have received Barack Obama had his wife been white and not Michelle?
True.
Especially since he's biracial, right. So would they have still seen him as like Jesse Jackson? Because
black women have a real big problem. A lot of black women, that's still a big issue with seeing black men with white women. A lot of black women don't like seeing that, but we'll embrace whenever we see a black woman with a white man, like the what's his name in New York. The mayor, is it the mayor or governor?
De Blasio.
Yeah. His wife is black, he's white, and people just, oh my God, I love that. But there's still some big, huge, ugly cloud when black women see a black man with a white woman. So had Barack Obama's wife been white, what would be the reaction? Yeah, you're right. What would be the reaction?
I wonder how Black America would have received him had his wife been, blonde hair, white girl. Would they have cared as much? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would it have been would he have? Would people consider
be as beloved as he is? Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
I venture to say no.
No.
I'm going for no. I'm gonna put a bold statement and say probably not.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of black women out here that don't like seeing that union. Black women much rather see a black man with a Hispanic woman, an Asian woman, before they ever see with a white woman.
Really interesting. I always think like couples, I think that you can definitely meet someone that you just found interesting.
Yeah.
And then you fall in love. But I think when you purposely date outside your race.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think that was the thing. I think that was the reason why so many people didn't like Kim Kardashian. It's not because she married a black man. It's because she only dates black men.
And now
she tries to look like a black woman without actually being black.
And now all of those women have...
Her mom, now is married
Corey,
to a black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like not only that, she tried to look like a black woman without actually being black.
So I guess when it comes to interracial marriage, dating, and the whole thing, like I don't have a problem with that at all because I do believe in love. So if you can find love out there in any way, it really does not matter what your skin color is, right? To me, it doesn't matter. I don't care about that part, but I won't date someone if I know they only date my race.
Yeah.
If you're a white man and you only date black women and you make that a point to say that, which I've had that, I don't want to date you because then I start feeling like a novelty. I start feeling like you're only dating me because I'm black, and that's what it is. I'm black, So I don't know. It's just my thing. But
I was just gonna say even the loving couple.
That's a good.
Their lawyer, when they were going through this whole trying to get people interracial marriage, the act, he said, I was so shocked when I met Richard Loving because he was like a redneck
buzz cut, yeah,
heart of America, white trash man. He's like, and I was expecting someone more like us, like maybe a college guy. He met this college girl or some black girl.
Just fell in love
because interracial dating wasn't. It was frowned upon, but people were doing it.
Yeah.
My grandparents were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
our grandparents, they had to get married in Illinois, didn't they?
Yeah, and they had to get married Catholic.
Yeah, they had to get married in Illinois because Indiana wasn't legal here yet, and they had to get married Catholic because other church denominations did not accept interracial marriage, but Catholics did, which is really always weird to me.
So weird. Yeah.
That's so weird to me. But so they were Catholic. They got married in a Catholic church, but. Yeah, I don't know if I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it in general, but I do have a problem with it when you're very specific to only dating, no, I only date that, I think that when you are saying, like if I was saying to someone, oh no, I only date white men or I only date Hispanic men, I feel like I'm trying to run away from myself a little bit. So I think when you're only looking at one side and you don't want to look at what you look like, and maybe you don't even know it. There might be some part of you subconsciously, you don't even know that you're doing that, but there has to be something about you that's not wanting to connect with yourself if you're not able to even look at the person that looks like you. Let us know what you think about that, because I'm kind of interested in it, because I've watched so many videos lately on black and white, this whole thing, interracial dating, what people think of it, and people's opinions are interesting. I have to say, I don't think people are necessarily right or wrong. It's just like a perspective.
Right.
You know what I mean? Matter of opinion. So just let us know what you think down at the down below in the comments. And yep, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We would love that. And go to our Facebook and Instagram page and follow us there too. And that's it.
And comment if you have any more topics you want us to talk about.
Or I'll put up our email here if you don't want to be, because sometimes people they want to be anonymous, and I'm fine with that. So I'll put our email here if you have a topic idea, and you can send it to us. So thank you guys for watching. We shall see you next time. Bye.